Hello, and welcome to Coxreels Tech Tips. We're back out on the line, and today we're going to be talking about swivels. This is our second swivel video, and it's going to cover inline swivels. Inline swivels are found on our 1.5 inch and 2 inch products, such as the 1185, 1195, and 1600 series. If your swivel looks like this or like this, you're in the wrong video. Check out the other swivels video. Okay. So today what we're going to be talking about and showing you is how to replace and service the seals within this type of inline swivel. If this type of swivel begins to leak, it will leak out of the back of the swivel. It won't come out the front, it won't come out between here, it'll be dripping out the back, and that's how you'll know. Before we begin, let's talk about what you're going to need. You're going to need a 9/16 wrench. I've got a nut driver and then a wrench here. You're going to need a specialized piece of equipment known as a plastic fork. And you're of course going to need your seal kit. This is a kit available from us in 3 different seal types: nitrile, EPDM, and Viton. Each one is better and for use with different chemicals, and that brings me to the #1 cause of leaks. Instead of just replacing it, let's find out why it's leaking, right? So the #1 cause is chemical incompatibility. So what we do when someone calls us up and asks us what type of seal we should use is we go to one of 2 websites and look it up, and you can do that too. The 2 websites that we use are Cole Palmer and eFunda, and they basically tell you a nice little listing of how compatible a chemical with the material is. So there you can look up the Viton EPDM, or it's sometimes called EPR, and Buna, also known as nitrile or NBR. The seal kits that we have come all ready to go. They come with instructions, they come with a little piece of Brillo pad, they actually come with some lubricant, which is very important, and the seal itself, and a backup ring. Okay, let's get ready to actually do the job. In this particular case, as all reels, you should have a flexible inlet connection connecting to your hose reel. People often ask, this is a fixed swivel, why do I need a flexible inlet connection? Well, you need a flexible inlet connection because a reel needs to move as it functions. Things are spinning and moving, frame is flexing, things are happening, and you need to make sure that you're not overloading your swivel, because if you are, what you're going to do is you're going to actually drive the axle and the swivel out of concentricity during operation, and that can lead to premature failure. So have yourself a flexible inlet connection. If your flexible inlet connection is flexible enough that you can kind of move the whole thing around and pull this off, then you don't have to take your incoming line off to do this service. Okay, so it's held together by 9/16 hardware, grade 8. We're simply going to hold the nut in the back and we're going to take it apart, like so. There's a flat washer on both sides. Okay, and this keeper plate is actually the plate that holds the swivel in place. If your hose is connected, you can just slide it up your line, otherwise pull it off. Now, all you have to do to pull the swivel assembly apart is slide the swivel off of the axle. So in this particular swivel style, this is not a balanced swivel. There is pressure trying to pull these 2 parts apart. That's what this holds it together, and that's why these need to be grade 8 bolts. And your 2 sealing surfaces are, one, the axle itself, and the other sealing surface is inside the swivel underneath the seal. Both of these surfaces need to be in immaculate condition. If these are scratched, gouged, corroded, you're going to have seal issues. So if you have a leaking swivel, that's the first thing to check. Is my axle corroded? Do I have damage here? Is it scratched? And that is actually why the seal kit contains a little piece of Brillo pad, is to clean up and service this surface. So now that you have it apart, you can go ahead and take apart your seal kit, pull out your cutesy little piece of Brillo, and you actually just clean up your surface and make it nice and shiny and smooth. We don't recommend that you use something like a file. Never use an air tool, because you'll end up flattening parts and you'll have sealing issues. The swivel and the seal inside here are designed for quite a bit of eccentricity, so they can deal with a lot, but if it's sharp and deep, it's going to cause you a leak. Okay, so you clean up your surface. That's all you have to do to the axle side. There's a couple of thrust bearings in here and some washers. Leave all of that alone. I'll go over how it goes together just in case it falls out so you can put it back right, but we'll get to that. With the surface prepped on our axle side of the swivel, that's all we have to do over here. So we're going to move on to the actual swivel itself, and we're going to pull out the seal and the backing ring, and we're going to use our specialty tool that is a plastic fork. And the reason we're using a plastic fork is because plastic is softer than steel, and we don't want to scratch the sealing surface underneath our seal. If you use a screwdriver or a pick or something like that, you run a really good chance of actually scratching underneath that seal and creating a leak path. So that's why we use this. You're basically going to dig in there and try and get the seal out. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it can be done because it's soft rubber. You just dig it out, and then you can take out the backing ring. If your backing ring is in great shape, you can leave it in there. I'll take this one out just so you can see it, and then we can talk about putting it in the right way. Okay, the next step is going to be to put your new seal in. Now, lubrication on seals is very important. You want to make sure your seal is lubricated. If your swivel is dirty, go ahead and clean it at this point with some paper towel maybe. We'll clean it out, and then we will lube the swivel, the seal, and we will lube our axle. In this particular seal kit, it does come with lubricant. If you're working on some of the other swivels, they might not, but however, the instructions will tell you which kind of lubricant to use. You don't necessarily need to be sparing. At the same time, you don't need to be crazy. You just need to get a nice layer of lube everywhere to get good sealing. Then you're going to take your O-ring, and I always tell people to lube that too. So we lube that up as well, and then we slip it into the O-ring groove. Make sure it's seated nicely and that it's not rolled or something silly like that. Then I go ahead and I lube it one more time just for fun. Okay, now we got to put the backing ring in. Now the backing ring is what prevents the seal from extruding between the two metal parts. It doesn't actually do any sealing. However, it does need to be put in there the right way. Our backing rings are scarf cut. I don't know if you can see that, but what it means is they cut them on an angle. They don't cut it straight, they cut it on an angle. So that means you can actually put it together the wrong way. If you put it together the wrong way, it gets all thick at that portion. You don't want it to be thick, you want it to be the same thickness all the way around. So make sure your two slices are sitting the right way to make it look like it's never been cut, okay? And you're going to slide it in there and then check for that. After you're done, make sure that your scarf cut is positioned properly. So you get it in there and you put it in. Now, where do you put it? You put it so that you have the threads of the swivel where the hose connects, then your seal, and then the backing ring. And if you're in doubt, there's instructions included in your product that gives you a nice breakdown and gives you the order, the proper order of your backing ring and seal. Now that you have that done, you will lubricate this surface, and then you will carefully slide the two back together. And if for some chance this fell out on you, there's a snap ring in here, and there needs to be a washer between your swivel surface and that snap ring. So if this fell out on you while you were doing all this maintenance, make sure it's there covering your snap ring, okay? Like so. Then, like I said, we will lube this surface. And then we will reinstall, carefully sliding our seal on. Then we will simply reverse the procedure that we did to take stuff off. We put our plate on, washers on both sides, one washer on the bolt side, and a washer and a nut on the back side. Okay. Bolt, washer, nuts. Bolt, washer, nuts. And that concludes how we change the seals and service a inline swivel, which is found on the 1.5" and 2" models. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching our tech tips. Be sure to check out the YouTube channel, and as always, have a nice day.